Many thanks, and I now call George Adam to be followed by Neil Findlay.
Thank you, Presiding Officer, and I'd like to thank the Health and Sport Committee for all the work they've done on this very difficult debate, because it was obviously extremely passionate and there's people for and against. But I welcome this debate and would urge the Chamber to follow Patrick Harvie's lead in allowing this bill to progress. We need to ensure that this idea is allowed to develop further, like any other bill, and has the opportunity to be discussed in full at stage 2 and 3. Is it not correct that we use the full parliamentary process to challenge and test this potential legislation further? I take on board Jackson Carlaw's points as well when he mentioned the fact that we've already had it at the floor here before. So is there not a case that we do take this to its full conclusion at this point? I understand that this proposal can stir passions on both sides of the debate, and of course many will say I'm once again, Presiding Officer, coming at this debate from a very personal perspective. I can't help it, it's the way I'm hardwired and it's the person that I am. But as you all know, my wife Stacey has multiple sclerosis, and ironically we're having this debate on World MS Day, and there are an estimated 11,000 people in Scotland with MS, 100,000 in the UK, and it's a neurodegenerative condition which affects the brain and central nervous system. Now, as I've said before, there are 3 types of MS, and it's related to this debate today as well. There's relapse and remitting MS, which Stacey had when we first met. There's primary progressive MS, which effectively means you primarily start at a bad place and you get worse as time goes on, potentially dying as an outcome as well. And there's secondary progressive MS, which Stacey currently has. Now, primary progressive MS affects about 10 to 15% of people diagnosed with MS, and we may find, like others, ourselves in that position one day. And we've had that discussion as a family. We've discussed what would happen if we ever got to that position. And it's a difficult debate for anyone to have because, you know, Stacey and I have discussed it. And when I do say we've discussed it, well, I've been told of Stacey's opinions on it. And I've been told exactly what her preferred options if she deteriorated so badly. Now, I can be as positive about our life together and our future together as much as I like, but it's not me that's living with the condition and potentially having to deal with any dramatic changes in her illness. I am not the one that's going through these changes. I can be there, I can be supportive, but I'm not the one that's actually going through it. These are things that Stacey and her family have spoken about for years. And don't get me wrong, those of you who know her know Stacey loves life. One of her most endearing, attractive qualities is her sheer lust for life. And what happens if she's so ill that she no longer has that quality that she currently has? What happens if she can't enjoy the very basic parts of life? And what happens if she becomes terminally ill, or there are questions as to ask, as we have to continually ask as a couple? One of the reasons why we support this bill is because of Stacey's admiration and love for Margot MacDonald, and also Margot passionately believed in this bill, and I believe it's for Margot's sake that we need to take this to the very least to the next stages. But there appears to be no middle ground in this debate. You're either for it or against it. At the moment, we're talking about people getting the choice to end their life if they're physically unable to do so. If we do not do this, are we not saying that some members of our community are to live their last days on earth in constant extreme pain? Is that just, or is that right? No one likes to talk about death because we're all too aware of our own mortality. But those suffering, and I mean suffering, because we often don't like to use the word suffering in this chamber, but when we're talking about people who are living at the end of their life with extreme pain, excessive pain, day by day, hour by hour, minute by minute, second by second, they need to have that choice in how they leave us. And should that day come, no one knows how we would actually deal with it ourselves. I don't even know if I could actually go through with Stacey's wishes, if I would want to go down that route, if I was able to let go at that point. I don't know what my emotional state would be at that time. But is that not the point? Is it not about the choice, the ability to have this option, should the individual choose it? Plus, the bill states that such a decision would be agreed upon by at least 2 doctors and the patient themselves as to what the final action would be. Presiding Officer, I've had, like many of my colleagues, have had letters and emails from constituents, and I had one in particular from a woman whose both parents died of cancer over a 10-year period. both in complete and utter agony. The father would have chosen not to actually take this route, but the mother had actually said she would, because she experienced the pain and anguish. And all they could do was say that they could see their grandparents and parents suffering during that process, and she's promised that she would never, ever allow her family to go through that. So, Presiding Officer, I would say we need to take this debate forward and discuss it further. This bill is not about faith, either your faith in the proposed legislation or your religious faith. It's about equality and choice. It's about our people, our communities and our families. This bill needs to pass stage 1 so that the discussion can continue.
Thank you very much. And